All right, so next up we've got Rebecca Martin, who shared the series of images and experimenting with something called an Expodisc. Now, I hadn't heard of these before, Rebecca, so thanks for sharing this. So that's what it is. And an Expodisc, basically, it goes on the end of your lens. They come in different sizes. I think they're around $100. And what they are is they go onto your lens, and they will measure the white balance of a shot for you. So in this example here, you've got the shot of the snow, and that you change the white balance. So I'm sure one was set to, you set a certain Kelvin temperature, and then here it is at cloudy, which is slightly warmer. All right, and then here you've used the Expodisc to set the white balance, and it gives you a custom white balance. So if you've got areas where you want to make sure that the color temperature is correct, this is a tool that kind of makes it a bit easier. I'm just wondering, I think probably for filming and things like that, when you've got mixed light, it would probably be good. I'm just going to show you how it works. So basically, what you do is the first thing you do is you take your meter readings of your shots. So say you've got a girl in front of a forest lit with sunlight. You would take your meter reading if you're using your camera's meter and get your settings correct. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, this shot is f11 at 1/250th of a second, ISO 100. So you set your camera to all of that, and then to get your white balance, you need to come around and put your disc onto the front of your lens and point your camera towards your light source, because what the Expodisc is doing is it's measuring the temperature of the light that's falling off your subject. If you were to have the Expodisc on your camera and measure and I'm talking about white balance, not exposure. If you were to measure the white balance with the camera pointed at the subject, it's going to measure the light that's reflected off the subject, and it's going to give you an inaccurate reading. So in order to get this Expodisc to work, you need to turn your camera around and face it towards the light source. And basically what the disc does is it measures your scene. And so let's just say you're pointing it at a scene like this. It'll measure the scene and work out all the different types of light that are in there, and it'll take an average of that scene to give you the correct white balance, which is pretty much exactly what you're doing when you're using a grey card. By placing a grey card in front of your subject, what you're doing is the light that you're shooting under, the light conditions. It might be that you're under fluoro light, sunlight, daylight, mixed lighting conditions, whatever is going to be the actual light is hitting this grey card. So in doing that, what you do is you shoot raw, hold your grey card in front of your subject, the area that you're going to be photographing, and then you continue with your shoot. You save this file and then bring it into Lightroom or Photoshop, and basically what you're doing is you're doing a click balance on that area, the neutral area, and that will give you the correct white balance setting. So effectively, that's exactly what is happening here with the Expodisc. It's a disc, it's going over the lens, and it's pointed at the light source, and what it's doing is it's reading the actual light that's coming onto the camera sensor, and it's taking an average of that that light, and it's giving you the correct white balance settings. So I'll just show you. If you can invest in this disc, an Expodisc, $100, and I think it's probably good. Again, as I said, if you're running around doing shooting in lots of different lighting conditions, I think it's a bit fiddly to be using it that way. I think the good old grey card is probably a better option. And then you have that to go on when you're shooting. You've got the grey card, the image that you've shot with the grey card in your files, and then you can come back, and I think you can probably get just as accurate a setting as using the Expodisc disc. Sorry. So you can see with this image here where you've got your Kelvin setting to, I think it was probably daylight. What I can do is I can come in and I can have select my color picker, and I can come into an area of white that is not overexposed, so correctly exposed, so find a neutral area, and I can do a click balance on that area, and I think that I've gotten something that's fairly close to what your Expodisc has done as well. So that's just another way of doing it, and I can come in when you've got it set to Kelvin. This was set for cloudy day. If I come in and do a white balance on a neutral area, again, it's fairly similar. But as I said, if you don't want to muck around and you just want to create your correct white balance, have a custom white balance that you can work with all day, then the Expodisc does the job. So there's a couple of ways you can measure white balance. Again, it's what works for you, what you're most comfortable with. So yeah, now let's have a look at these shots. I can't even imagine being in snow at the moment. I'm sitting here in 37-degree heat recording these CCs. So this looks so appealing to me. I love this. Apparently this is your backyard, Rebecca. I would love to be running through there in bare feet at the moment. It looks so appealing. Beautiful set of images. There's a few things that you could do if you wanted to take these to the next level. I think what you've done is lovely. I like how you've thought about your composition and giving a series of having a light source in the camera, in the image, as well as you've got this sort of wonderful snow wonderland behind, and what an incredible set this is. And also the styling is lovely. I think this image is probably my favorite. It's the strongest. And I think like a couple of things you could do with this image is, I think overall, I just did an auto white balance, so we'll go back to normal. Overall, I think it could be brightened up a little bit. So just a couple of things that I might do is probably just warm it up a fraction. And what I want to do is bring in a light source coming in from camera right, just to add a bit of interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come on and use the graduated filter, and I'm going to maybe try the circular, the radial grad, and just bring it in from the side. So I'll put the overlay on so you can see where it is that it is happening. So, and I'm going to turn off my feather so you can see exactly where it is. Now, at the moment, the area that will be affected is the area outside of the grad. So if I want to make the area, this area here, I will invert my mask. So what I'm doing is I'm adding an adjustment to this area in a circle. And the reason I turn the feather off is just so I can see what I'm doing. And if you want to turn on the overlay so that helps you see exactly the area that's being affected, it's O on the keyboard will turn on the overlay. So at the moment, I'm going to increase my exposure, and you can also see in the preview window over here exactly what's happening. I'm going to turn the overlay off so I think you can pretty much see it. And what I want to do is maybe just brighten up the highlights a little bit and give the illusion that there's possibly some light coming in, spilling in here from the from camera right. So I'm just upping the exposure and increasing the highlights, and I'm going to just drop the clarity a little bit so it does have that sort of foggy vibe to the light. And I'm also going to warm it up a little bit. All right, now that doesn't look that exciting at the moment, but if I now increase my feather to soften it, and I can also now increase the size of it, because what I want to do is bring it in so that it's, can you see on the girl's face here that it's starting to affect her face, and it's like now we've got that look of light coming across and lighting her up. I really like how that looks. So we've just, it's kind of like we've turned a light on in the corner. And I think that looks quite lovely there. And it's cleaned up her skin tone, and it does look like she's being lit by some magical warm light there in the corner. So that's what I'll do to that. And the other thing I do is, because there is this beautiful light source here from the candle, is I want to do the same thing and add a little bit of light into the candle. So I'll just turn the overlay on so you can see exactly what is happening here. So again, the area that I want to affect is where the candle is, and at the moment, the area that I've got selected is the surrounding area. So I need to invert the mask, and now I am only affecting this area here. And what I'm going to do is take my feather right down so I can see exactly what I'm doing and make the necessary adjustments. So what I'm going to do, I'll take the overlay off, is brighten that up slightly and warm it up a fair bit, because it's candlelight that we're having mixed with a bit of sunlight. So I just want to warm that up. And now what I want to do is increase the feather just to soften it, and now I can increase the actual size of it. And so now what you're getting is a bit of sunlight spilling, candlelight spilling onto the jacket there as well. And we'll just increase the highlights. And I'll drop the clarity a little bit so it's got that little soft. And so you've got before and after. And I might just make that a little less. And I've probably overdone it with the warmth as well. So it's just a matter of, I'd like to push it all the way and then just slide stuff around. And so let's have a look. We've got before and after. And maybe just knock this one back a little bit. And that's looking pretty good. Make sure I've got a good black overall, pretty good. And I'm pretty happy with that overall as a shot. I think that's looking quite strong, and the skin tone looks really good, and it's just added a little bit of atmosphere overall to the shot. All right, so that in itself, a really strong shot. I like it a lot. I think it's quite beautiful. The other ones that you've got, now it's a matter of being a bit more aggressive with the culling and the storytelling. So when you're looking at the shots, do they support or detract from your hero image? I believe this is the hero image. If you were supplying this to a client as part of a book or a double page spread or a couple of images that might work well to support each other, what would the other image be? Would it be a series of 2 or 3 or 4? And what you want to be mindful of is that you're not diluting the impact of this image here. Is it a standalone image? Does it need another image? And so I'm looking through these other images. I think this is so strong in the intention. She's really looking out at something. It's decisive in the pose. She's holding on to the candle. Everything about it, it's beautiful. The composition, everything. This one, I think, is a little bit uncertain, and it may well have been just a test shot, Rebecca. So, but I'm just trying to make a point about images that you select, as well as this, not as strong. And this one too could be strong, but I just think there's a lot going on. I'm distracted by this here. Was that snow that was hitting the lens, or have you added that in post? I'm not sure, but that is a bit distracting. So perhaps this image, but I would probably crop in a bit more aggressively with that image. But what I see to go with this image here is definitely this one. I think the location is spectacular, and the little bit of foreground interest is also beautiful. However, I think the one thing that is a little bit distracting in this image is the water. I think this is water in the front here. It doesn't add anything to the image. So I'm just wondering if this was cropped out and we just go with the little beautiful Wonderland look here. I think now that is a stronger image. I don't think it needed the water, and I think this image, and I'll just warm it up slightly so that it matches this image. I think they go well together, and what's lovely is you could have this on the left hand page and this full page on the right. I think they work really well together, and that's a beautiful strong image. So you could also maybe give that a little tickle in there and make the candle stand out. So beautiful work. I love your backyard. I love seeing where you guys live. It's fantastic. So yeah, great stuff, Rebecca.